Welcome back to Revise and Resubmit, the podcast that takes, those really dense academic papers and makes them surprisingly interesting. I'm Pavlov.
And I'm Nikita.
We've noticed a lot of you are tuning in, which is amazing, but I haven't quite hit that subscribe button yet.
Yeah, and that little button, honestly, it's so small, but it makes such a huge difference in helping us reach more people with these important discussions.
Right. It's true. Like the algorithms, those mysterious forces that decide what we all see and hear, they pay a lot of attention to subscriber numbers.
Yeah, think of it like the subscribing. It's like casting a vote for quality content, So these insightful research discussions don't just get lost in the sea of all the information out there.
More subscribers equals more visibility. Right. And that means more resources for us to make even deeper dives for you.
Yeah.
Maybe bring in experts for interviews, even do some live Q&A sessions where you can jump in.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about building a community around research,
Yeah.
where curiosity thrives and knowledge is like shared and debated.
Happy Pi Day, everyone. I hope you all have some delicious pie lined up for today's festivities. But, before we all dig in, I thought we could maybe take a deep dive into something a little less delicious, but maybe equally as fascinating.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so we're going to be exploring the psychology behind these special day sales promotions, and what better day to do it than on Pi Day itself, right? We'll be using Pi Day as our case study for this one.
You know what's so interesting to me is how many companies are really leaning into days like Pi Day for marketing.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a whole science behind why this strategy actually works.
Oh, absolutely. So let's unpack this a bit for today's deep dive. We're looking at a research paper titled Promoting Pi Day, Consumer Response to Special Day Themed Sales Promotions.
Very appropriate.
I know, right? It seemed pretty fitting for our Pi Day exploration.
Absolutely. This paper really digs into how consumers react to discounts linked to what they call non-traditional holidays and events.
Right, these kind of like, made up almost holidays.
Exactly, those special days, as we're calling them.
Yeah, exactly. Huh? So did they find that as consumers, we're more likely to respond to a discount when it's connected to a special day like that?
That's exactly what they found. The same discount offered without that themed link just simply doesn't have the same impact.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it gets even more interesting because then they found that this is all tied back to something called marketplace metacognition.
Yeah, that sounds a little complicated, I know.
It does sound very jargony.
But it basically means that as consumers, we're all thinking about how companies are trying to market to us.
Right.
And when we see a promotion that's really clever, and especially one that's tied to a day like Pi Day, we appreciate the effort.
We like it.
We do. It feels more original and more genuine.
Yeah, it's like they're in on the joke with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all celebrating Pi Day together, and they're offering us a deal as part of the fun.
Exactly. And this perception of creativity actually makes us more likely to buy. It's almost like we're rewarding these companies for their cleverness.
Interesting. So how do the researchers figure all this out? Do they survey people about their shopping habits or something?
So they did a series of studies, actually, and one of the most interesting ones, I think, focused on a fictional picnic supply company offering a National Picnic Day sale.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A picnic company and National Picnic Day seems like a pretty perfect fit.
Exactly.
What did they find?
Well, they found that when the sale felt unique, like not a lot of other companies were doing it, shoppers were way more likely to buy from that company.
Oh, so it's like they want to feel like they're getting in on some special deal that most people don't know about.
Yeah, like they're a savvy shopper,
Exactly. Yeah, it makes you feel special.
Exactly. But there's another layer to this, too. The promotion can't just be original. It also has to be appropriate for the company, Right. Not every company can just slap a National Donut Day sale on their products and expect it to resonate.
Right. It has to actually make sense.
It has to make sense.
Yeah, like a clothing company having a National Donut Day sale doesn't really track.
Exactly. It feels forced, and shoppers can totally see right through that.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's exactly what the researchers wanted to test in another study. So they looked at National Food Day sales offered by two different companies, an online grocer and a clothing company.
Okay, so the online grocer, obviously a very natural fit for National Food Day.
Right.
But the clothing company, not so much.
Not so much. And the results were really interesting.
I bet.
The grocer saw a huge increase in buying intentions when they had this special day promotion, but the clothing company actually saw a decrease.
Wow. So even though it was kind of original and different, the fact that it didn't fit with their company image actually like negated any of the positive effects.
Totally, it backfired.
Wow. So it sounds like finding that sweet spot between originality and appropriateness is really key.
Yeah.
You need to be creative, but you got to make sure that it aligns with your brand too.
Absolutely. And this kind of brings us to a potential downside of this whole, special day promotion trend. While they can be really effective, there's also this risk that they can just start to feel inauthentic or even manipulative.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, I love a good deal. Like, who doesn't love a discounted pie on Pi Day?
Right.
But if it feels like a company is just like jumping on some random day to try and sell me something, it makes me question their motives a little bit.
You've hit the nail on the head. Consumers are becoming more and more savvy, and they can tell when a company's being genuine versus when they're just trying to like cash in on a trend.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the takeaway here? Should we be wary of all special day promotions?
I don't think so. I think it's more about being a mindful consumer, We need to think critically about why we're drawn to a certain promotion.
Yeah.
Is it because we actually need or want the product, or is it just because we're being swayed by clever marketing?
Yeah, so as we enjoy our Pi Day celebrations today, how can we be, more mindful about these special day promotions?
Well, I think it really comes down to looking beyond the surface. Ask yourself, does this promotion genuinely feel like a celebration of the day, or does it feel kind of forced?
Right.
Does it make sense for this company to be offering this deal?
Right. Like, are they actually passionate about Pi Day, or are they just trying to make a quick buck off of our love of pie?
Exactly. And remember, these promotions only really work if they feel special.
Right.
If every company is doing the same thing, it just loses its appeal.
It's that feeling of exclusivity again, right?
Exactly. It's not special if everyone's in on the secret.
Right, of course.
And this actually ties back to what we were talking about earlier with that marketplace metacognition.
Yeah.
We're all constantly evaluating the marketing we see, and we can usually sense when something feels authentic versus when it just feels like a cheap trick.
Yeah, for sure. So to wrap up our Pi Day deep dive here, what are the key things we should keep in mind?
Well, I think special day promotions can be a really fun and effective way for companies to engage with their customers. But as consumers, we need to be aware of the psychology at play. Ask yourself, is this promotion original? Is it appropriate for this company? And most importantly, does it make me feel good about supporting this brand?
Yeah, that's a great point. So next time you see a national fill-in-the-blank day sale, just take a moment to consider, the message behind the marketing.
Right.
Are you buying into a genuine celebration, or are you being subtly manipulated?
It's a great question to keep in mind.
Definitely.
Ultimately, it's all about being an informed and savvy consumer, and hopefully this deep dive has given everyone some food for thought.
Maybe even something to chew on with that slice of pie.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a really fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for joining us and breaking down the psychology behind special day promotions.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, happy Pi Day. May your pie be delicious and your shopping decisions be smart.
Happy Pi Day.
And don't forget to subscribe to Revise and Resubmit on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you're enjoying the show and want to support us in creating more insightful content, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Every contribution helps us continue this journey of exploration and discovery. Until next time, keep those minds curious, keep questioning, and keep revising and resubmitting.